It is based on an oral history, which is an oral history given to me by my mother-in-law. And she was not only my mother-in-law, but she was one of the greatest friends of my life. She was a very powerful, feminine spirit. She was a child of the New Republic, and she dedicated her life to those principles. And I would say that she really inspired everyone who knew her. They just wanted to be around her because she had great peace and humor. So then a year before she died, she invited me to come to Istanbul. And she said, I want to tell you the story of my life. So we spent the entire summer with my nephew, who is a translator, and we translated her whole life, which she remembered back to age 5. And it was a lot of fun. And then she did die the next year. And after that, I thought, oh my goodness, what have I gotten myself into? How can I write this epic? Because it looked like it was going to be an epic about the country of Turkey. And I have to know the history. So I actually spent 7 years in researching of this book. And researching with books and with travel, and even I was buying antique postcards and interviewing people. And then finally I began to write the book, and the book took me about 3 years to write. Actually, there's a new genre that's called narrative fiction. And so it more or less falls into the narrative fiction. But it is also a historical novel. And the history, you can be sure, has been very well researched and documented, because I know Turkish people really know their history. And so if I made some mistakes, they're going to say, first thing, this didn't happen. So that we paid very close attention to. So it's based on a memoir. It's based on some memoir of my own, of going to Turkey and coming back. So it's that. Then it's the history part of it is nonfiction, and then the history part of it frames everything. It's 80 critical years in the history of the Turkish Republic. But then I had to novelize it because, for example, Adalet's memoir, when typed up, was 60 pages. So I had to go in and I had to create a room. So I had to research what did rooms look like in that particular time, and so I had to create room. I had to create conversation as near to the truth as I could. So I was trying to pay attention to what I felt was the truth of the novel, and yet much of it had to be fictionalized. But I can tell you, for example, the almost like fairy tale in the second chapter, which is called 40 Thorns, is about the 40 Thorns, was exactly as Adalet told it. And it was so marvelous. And it was a whole community entering into this. You know, the whole community bought into this. They played their roles. And it was so wonderful not to use it. So she gave me a lot of stories like this that I could not have made up, because the reality was better than the fiction could have been. But it's more than a story, just a woman's story. It's more than just a story of the Turkish Republic. Because why would we need to have another book about the Turkish Republic when many great historians have written about this, and many Turkish people have written about this? Would you spend all of this time writing a book just because you loved your mother-in-law? No. What I discovered in this book, that there's something bigger than her story, and she in fact knew this from the beginning. This is a story of human triumph. Her life was a story of triumph of the human spirit. But the story of the Turkish nation, which parallels her story, is a wonderful story, probably the most wonderful story that we have in our modern times, of a nation, a whole nation of people who went through this great triumph of the human spirit. So I was working with something that is a universal theme, something that doesn't just belong to Turkey. It belongs to the whole world. You know, we have Ataturk, we have Gandhi, we have Martin Luther King Jr., we have Thomas Jefferson. We have people like this, Sister Teresa, those kinds of things. These people belong to everybody, and they belong to everybody for all times. So then I got so excited about it because I realized that I was dealing with something that was very, very precious. And guess what? It happened to belong to my husband's native country. And that made it really worth preserving for not only my grandchildren, but for all my Turkish friends.